Awesome. You're on it. Okay. Let's call the meeting to order of the Marble Valley Regional Transit District Board of Commissioners on Tuesday, March 10th at 10:10 a.m. Could I get a motion?
Approve the agenda. Maybe amended.
Are there amendments to the agenda?
Second.
All right, there's a motion. Second. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. Okay. Approval of the. Could we double that and do both minutes?
We got the 10th, 13th. I was just following the agenda at different times. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 13th and January 20th. Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion and debate.
I believe on the January 20th meeting, I was in attendance. Oh, I see on the call. But as we talking later on, we'll approve the motions. But we just had my. Yeah.
So with that correction, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Open to the public. Is there public present that would like to speak before the board on items on the agenda?
I am, only two things about, the cards, the buses that still stands. Like, the cards. Yes, you know that, yes.
What do you mean, Lauren?
Well, Jim told one who did a driver to, it's a lady going somewhere. And that, no cars. Like they're default. Back to Royal Streets.
Yeah, we're not allowing those big wagons on the bus.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. And that's it for me for now. Everything's smooth, running smoothly down there to transit. Nope.
Great. All right, let's move on to service reduction adjustment update. And I assume we'll be taking that.
Yep, so like in the last meeting, the service reduction adjustments were presented and also approved. So they went through one February 2nd, one we're going through February 2nd, and then the remainder will be in April. The only reason this is on the agenda this time is Chris had made mention of adding some lines to it, so that was a little bit more clear on where the totals came from. So on the spreadsheet, the updated spreadsheet, you can see that there is days and hours added. So there's on how those figures were generated. Here to answer any questions or any more clarity anybody needed on those. Adding those in, there were some questions also. Albert, you had brought up some questions at the last board meeting as well about discrepancies between the year-round versus what was in the originally proposed for next year. So you can see how those numbers have changed. Only thing I'd add to that is that this was starting in February, so it's not, it was based on 5 months, not an actual half a year. But overarchingly, the adjustments only changed by a little less than $1,000. They were $37,000 and some change. So when the numbers were put in a little bit more consistently in the spreadsheet, it didn't make much of an impact. But these are probably as accurate as you're going to get.
So at the end of the day, our year end is June 31st, 2026. What is the short of that?
100,000.
And then June 31st, 2027, with the reductions. I can't, so what are we?
We're projecting to be in positive by about 300,000. I take $50 too.
I mean, that's, when you're running grants and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
in
sure, it's,
the last legislative session, they're continuing to talk about the budget for the state match being reduced by 0.6%.
so the $100,000 shortfall for this year could actually be 350 probably next year.
Yes.
And we're not looking at any other reductions at this time. If the 2027 budget holds.
Right. Walmart has been in touch with us, so we are looking at some additional service to them, but that those come with costs. Yeah.
So the reductions are gonna be straight through the 27.
Yes,
So they're never gonna go back.
we can relocate 2020 or FY 20. Really soon.
Or we could reevaluate in the middle of the year if it's looks like they're gonna be 350 or higher.
Yeah,
We start bringing back some of the other services.
yeah, I got down here in the notes, potential to return some level of service in
Yeah.
2028 to be evaluated.
Oh, sorry.
That's my own, there's just a quick question. If we do that, though, do we have to do another public hearing or no?
Maybe you'll have to do a public hearing.
Okay.
I'd like to see Devin maybe come June or July. The board has a discussion on if there is, what the priorities are first from the board of bringing on, which services we cut, which ones would be, you know, take a little scope around the board of what should come on first or whatever.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can actually have that conversation sooner during the budget's preparation process, because that'll be the time to really forecast for that next fiscal year. And I assume that budget preparation process will start in April. So we'll have a better understanding of what the true budget is going to be versus, and then what VTrans is going to get back to us. So yeah, I think that would be worthwhile. And at that point, I'm hoping we'll have positive response and news from the efforts of the bus staff and Jade on the fundraising. Or I think we're calling it fundraising, but you know what I mean.
Marketing progress. There's going to be a whole bunch of different things.
Okay. What else on this? Questions, Jade, any other sort of highlights that are worth noting? Ultimately, we are headed to being in the black, correct?
Yes, this is a rough year. Audit has generated some pretty high impacts, some overpayments between VTrans and Medicaid. So it might take a little longer to come out of that, but ultimately, still by the end of 27, stay on this trajectory, we should be able to see us stay somewhere near at least level.
Let's keep this as a check-in item moving forward. So we can keep on it. Have you guys, I'm just curious, you know, Ron, either your direct coordination with the drivers, or calls, what has been the response so far? How has the communication been rolled out? Because we are now in it, right?
Yeah, people are adjusting. I mean, it's a change for some folks. We kind of put out there, hey, if you've missed the bus for a reason, we try to get you where you need to go, but, you know, some people aren't happy and some people are okay with this, so I guess I'll try to leave it at that. And
I think, how about the staff?
I haven't heard much from the staff growing. You know, they're just driving bus, so it's, you know, whether they're doing this or doing that, they're still driving the bus.
That's what I care about.
Yeah.
People have to get used to the schedule.
Yeah, well, for the most part, we didn't like. We're still going to Manchester, we're still going to Fairhaven, we're still going to those places. We just cut maybe one or two moves out, that's all. So. Yeah, the city did get pretty significant back by combined buses, but. There's the hours for the drivers are still there.
Any folks, hardship sort of or their ranged transportation plans?
Monday was, you know, a little rough for a couple of folks because I think they really remember the reduction. So Monday morning, a couple of people who left work, realize until after. We got the work. There was a couple of folks in the evening that were stranded, but we did send a bus over to get them home. I haven't really heard, like, yeah, there's the normal people that moan and groan and complain, even though it doesn't really affect them much, but there's like a major onsets.
I would just put this like in the back of our mind of the less we learned then, like on, if we ever have to do another services that first day or two, maybe we should focus on there's a little bus that goes, because
Yeah.
notice that. You know, you learn from just, so let's move, if we have to do this again, that Monday or Tuesday. And that a little one, on a big sign on the bus saying, you got lucky today. It's whatever it is.
I went there the week prior, handing out the schedules to people and stuff like that. Left piles in the training center and there. You know.
So we don't need to vote on this at all, right? Going on to the next one.
Okay, let's move on. Final
report.
final report on the P&L. Financial report.
Yeah.
Sorry,
This is
no.
the first actual update as far as it can get for December 31st versus the year.
We are gonna see some changes next month because we are still the mid-year adjustments that so still waiting on finals. And everything is still up in the air. So we think these are gonna be the adjustments we're getting as far as a little bit of extra stuff in our pocket, but we're still waiting for them to finalize everything. But right now, we are looking at, our bottom line is about 65,000 in a good direction. This is just an operating budget. We're gonna be working on capital expense one, which are ready for next time. Take everything one step at a time, to get a clearer picture, but there's some explanations of discrepancies in there, but like I said, next year will be a lot more cleaner because we'll be operating off QuickBooks with a much more detailed breakdown.
So currently this has the 242 adjustment.
Yep.
That was taken out of our local reserves back into ops, which was findings from the audit.
Yes.
Currently paying the Medicaid,
We're paying the Medicaid back. It was $101,000 was the payment from last year. We're paying that back in increments of 20,000 over 5 weeks. So it's a little painful.
800,000 adjust Medicaid, an EMT adjustment that legislature is currently looking at approving. Should be on its way, so we will be getting a piece of that at the end of the year. Not sure exactly what amount that has to be shared, but should be something relatively significant.
I hope so.
Much information on that.
Well, like I said, we're just, as you know, every day we're like, hey, you guys got this ready yet? So it's hard to do the projections without them. That's what we would like to have done as a nice projection to June 30th, but we can't really do anything until we know how much adjustments we're getting from the state. So hopefully by next time, hopefully by the end of this week, they'll have something ready for us.
Okay.
Oh,
No.
that was my question.
Well, I was just gonna ask Patty, I think there's 4 cells that are generating erroneous calculations. Do you want to see those 4 after the meeting? Can I just?
Sure.
Okay.
So since we're into financial report and proving out, can we go to the MVR to be fair in place of the plan? Because we're gonna talk about this and how this gets into the over here.
So we missed that.
Yeah, there's somewhere in the documents that I was trying to see.
Yeah, somehow we missed that on the agenda.
Well, I think it would be.
Yeah.
How-
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could just, but we are gonna have it start May 1st, obviously, we'll see some revenue in there as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, are there any more questions about the panel before we on to the next document? So we've been working through the fair implementation, had brought a draft one to the board, and are working our way to, much more refined and defined, implementation of things. The general consensus, I think, is we're pretty comfortable with this concept of moving back in, and even, hopeful and borderline excited about it. If we walk through this document, it's a lot to read. So, I think what we're gonna do is just, jump around and talk about, how we're going to re-implement it, not necessarily on the details of the work that needs to be done, but once it's in place, we are looking at increasing the amounts of each fair. The original, fare prices that were set, back when fares were, taken out of service, were the same that have been in place for as long as fares have been. So, in the documents of some fare increases. And then we go on page 3, we look at more of the passage. We try to keep this as simple as possible. So, we kept just in-city monthly passes, older monthly access passes, and then season access passes, and I do want to know that Albert had brought up on the committee session about the season access passes, and we had originally discussed those being commuters only. And further collaboration and thought about that, those season passes would be all-inclusive passes. And the reason is because it just fits well in the pricing that would make sense. So there's no one else out to point out. So at the bottom of page 3, we wanted to provide some comparisons of other rates of single fare and monthly passes, different trains around the country, in New England also, especially. So we're sitting in line, pretty good alignment with those $2 ones you see for GMT are there in city. So, correct, yes, so, we're looking at being comparable to those rates within the state. Then, page 4 just has, some of the payment methods, but those are also, an area that we're doing more investigation on, and research on. Currently, we're working with the bank, Community Bank, that we utilize. They referred us to a company called Alvalon, and Alvalon has a product called Converge, which is a point of sale system that forwards all the fees to the purchaser, and so there would be no fees, and they waive the startup costs for the systems for little card readers and such. So it would be very, very low to start that up, and with one-time fees to us, just purchasing those. They did also say that there was options for us to be able to utilize on-bus card readers and POS systems as well, which Ron is evaluating for Killington specifically, just to ease of access to guests in that area. So to go through all the startups, all the startup fees and the ongoing fees on page 5, we've come to a total of ongoing expenses of about $63,850. This includes the administrative impact to finance department, moving the income to the bank, and then of course what the drivers would have to do and the added work that they do each week. And then having an attendant to the transit station for about 30 hours a week. That's probably the biggest cost there. So that's $63,850 we're looking at for ongoing expense. You turn to page 6. We look at our revenue projection. These are broken down by the city fix. And on page 7, you'll see we also have the commuter and then the combined. So just walking through on page 6, the in-city, what was done here was we looked at our rides back in 2019 and compared them to our rides in 2025. So it was a little painstaking, but we were able to go back into our files and find it was credit cards,
cash and coins. We matched up those to the financials that were the audits
or cash box there. And that's where that financial information comes from. And then put against our number of rides came to 11 cents a ride. And again, this is, we weren't able to generate exactly how many passes were sold and what that looked like. So that's probably why that number was so skewed compared to what the actual fare rates were. So again, that brought us down to a revenue increase by 33% with our fare increases to 31,600. Page 7, same concept on the commuters is about 162,937 of projected revenue. Those together at the bottom is the 194, 539, and then on page 8, you can see that we subtract those expenses from the revenue, which brings us to a total projected income of 130,689. I did see some documents in, where there was, years where $180,000 of fare, revenue was achieved, but that didn't show the exact, so
Yeah.
we're probably pretty spot on there. That's what we're expecting. And I think the consensus of our senior leadership group is that we find this valuable and we want to move forward with it.
Do we need a motion on this? I'll make a motion to. And we are to prepare the implementation plan as presented.
All right, we have a motion to accept the fare proposal and re-implementation plan as presented.
Point
Is
of
there-
information,
Yes.
it's probably a question for our parliamentarian, in that it's not on the agenda. Does it require a 2/3 majority to pass?
I would.
Oh, it is not on the agenda. I see that now. I thought it was. PTO, CTO.
That's what I brought up, Devin. I was thinking it was underneath the financial report, profit and loss that we were working this into. That's how I was, that's why I wasn't really having many questions on this part. That's why I wanted to work. My folder has. You know, so.
Did I missed the motion then. Sorry, the room is a little choppy.
I had said earlier when we first started out, then we get into the reimplementation of the fares in the financial report.
That's the part of the financial
As
discussion.
part of the financial discussion.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm coming from, because this is part of the financial profit and loss discussion. I don't have a
Yes.
problem like where I would say, but, you know. But when I'm reading this, it's talking about implementing this when,
May 1st, so it's gonna
May
be.
first, and all of a sudden you're talking about March.
Yeah.
So I'll come back here to have the vote.
No, I'm just questioning, it can be approved, but it takes a 2/3 majority. That's what I'm just asking our parliamentarian if.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is
looking
correct.
at the bylaws now. And
2/3 majority of the whole board or 2/3 of, it's in attendance.
A whole board. You know, so that would be 8, right? There's 12 of us, and there's,
Does the motion to support it from EC have, from the executive committee have any weighting on that also?
no.
no, it's really
believe
about
so.
That's
yeah,
the
it's-
full point.
it's really about the agenda. So the bylaws are quiet on this. So I think the safe bet would be to seek that 2/3 majority.
Do we have 8 people?
I think there's also an opportunity to sort of seek a preliminary approval, knowing that if the board is inclined to support it in February, then we certainly are going to be inclined to support it in March. So there may be opportunity for staff to begin implementing the process now and seek that formal approval in March with a warned agenda item.
So why don't I just do, I made a motion, and has there been a second? No, the point of order, point of question.
Yep.
Is there a second, so we can get to see if we have any votes?
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion. It has been seconded. Is there further discussion or debate? Yes, Ethan.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. I'd personally rather be happy to get started or authorize getting started on the fares, but I'd personally want to defer like the actual fee structure to March, just because at least looking at this, I have a couple concerns about just creating all these different categories. I think for me, one of the biggest benefits of the fare free is simplifying the system and just get on and get off. So by adding like this type of bus requires this fare and this type of bus and you get this pass, so it lets you ride these buses, but it doesn't let you ride these buses. I just think it's a little bit sort of adding a more complexity and bureaucracy, which can actually hurt ridership. You know, outside of the riders that know the system really well and they use it and rely on it every day, they'll probably know these things. But like in terms of people who aren't directly familiar with that, making it more accessible, like I look down at the contemporary fare rates, I don't see that split across different categories. Maybe I'm just not seeing that in this information presented, but
With that one, Ethan, I just didn't include that information in the table. Some of them were much more bureaucratic, to put it nicely. I do see your point here. This is a pretty simplified fare structure compared to the other five. But I do understand your concern that it could be confusing for new and current passengers. Also, apologies for my voice today.
yeah, I guess just to cap, so I would personally vote no on just approving everything as presented, but I would be in favor of motioning to move forward with charging fares and bring the actual like final structure to a warned March vote. That would be my recommended course of action.
Ethan, are you, and this is not, are you one of the board members that can make a motion?
Right
Yes.
now, that's correct.
Okay, so I will withdraw my motion if.
I will second my second, yeah.
Okay, and then Ethan, can you make the motion with your wording?
Sure. Yeah, I would make a motion to authorize Marble Valley staff to proceed with the implementation of fares planning pending final rates to be determined by the Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that.
We have a motion. It has been seconded. Is there further discussion or debate? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
So then you have the 8.
So I think Ethan's feedback is something that I was going to bring up today as well. Is there a way to sort of, for the staff at the bus to analyze a single rate across all? Like if we average just $2 for every single route instead of 1 and 3, would we come to the same conclusion, and would that simplify everything dramatically? Because I agree, if there was one pass across the whole network, I think that would be huge.
Pass across the whole network.
Yeah, but different.
We've actually simplified it way better than what it used to be, Devin. It used to be all open maps. We simplified it as if you're riding city buses, the pass, if you're riding, because some people that ride out of town routes, they don't ride city fixed.
Sure.
So, and then you could get a pass to cover everything. It was a seasonal pass. So that's kind of what we went with, is 3 options to cut through all the other stuff, like having to get a Fairhaven pass specifically, or they had a Middlebury pass specifically, or a Proctor pass with coupons and punches. And we
Yep.
tried to get away with all having to have all that added craziness to have just 3 passes. I don't know if that's what Ethan was touching on, to change that.
I mean, just looking at the GMT website, they have a single fare price for all their buses that's across the whole system. And maybe I'm reading the website wrong and just posting the link, but I think just moving to a single cost for a ride and a monthly pass. It's just at least something I wanted to have discussed before basically approving something. So-
I'm not sure Green Mountain, whatever transit, what their bus goes through or whatever, but, you know, somebody on a city fixed Northwest South Hospital, they may only be jumping on the bus for a mile. And then somebody on a commuter route, I think is the longer route or whatever, which we showed later on here at the fourth, 11 cents and 63 cents or whatever.
So I mean, if they're just jumping on one ride for the month, I mean, they can throw their $1 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just throw it in or whatever, but.
But there is that option as well.
Does GMT have routes that are Lumsars going to Middlebury, Manchester, or are they pretty simple to students?
So I mean, I don't know.
They do.
What I do, going to house, yeah, I'm not sure what you're just looking at, but they definitely have in-city. I don't know if they're rural, they're set up with their system as well.
Yeah.
Even, I don't know if you know, because that might just be their in-city, and that's why.
I think it would take quite a bit of technology to differentiate from somebody getting on at the training center and then getting off the top of the hill versus getting on and going to Hannaford.
Yes.
For price wise.
So I'm just looking at GMT's website now. They have Medicaid pass pricing, discounted fare pricing, and they're only running fares at about half of it currently. The farthest they go is Chittenden, is that how you say that? Yeah, Chittenden County, that's the farthest they'll go. But most of the routes are still fare free.
Yeah, it says fares and express on Chittenden County City local routes, which are usually city fixed, and commuter routes and link expresses. So they are charging the same fare across. They, you know, Chittenden County goes way outside of Chittenden County for GMT, but they do have both commuter and local city routes in Burlington, which are charged the same rate. So anyway, I'm not necessarily saying I'm opposed to it. I just wanted to maybe, like, if we're not going to be putting fares in immediately, then we have a little time to at least just give some more thought to what the final fare proposal is going to be. So that was just my thought. But
Yeah, and I think it's worth seeing the breakdown. What is the difference with this single ticket or single price? And if there are going to be daily caps at all. You know, if somebody's riding the City Fix system one day, all day, for whatever reason, like legitimate reason, are we going to cap that at a certain cost, or are we going to let them charge all day? So just some questions to consider.
This is like a mathematical thing. I don't know if I'm in the city and I'm taking the hospital run, whatever, and if you're gonna jump it to $2, make the two fees $2, and if I'm taking the bus 2 times a day for 20 days a month, or 5 or whatever. So, you know, now all of a sudden I'm 20 times $4, you know, it's 80. I'll just jump in and buy a pass for $30.
Right.
So if you're gonna raise that to $2, then you're gonna raise this up on here.
I mean, ultimately, if it creates a better value for passes and it pushes people more to passes, it reduces our administrative burden, and that would be a positive outcome, in my opinion. I'm wondering if the leadership is hoping to see more pass adoption versus daily money handling, because I would assume that would be the preference, right?
I think that would be the push, but what I'm getting at is you're gonna make it 2 and 2, then I would be saying over here that the $30 a month would go to $40. Okay, and then keep the other commuter route the same, but it's a longer distance anyway. If you're gonna knock it down to $2. Or better yet, why don't you just make everything $3? Problem, it's gonna force them into, like what Devin is saying, it's forcing the people into a deal. It's not forcing, here's a deal, make it $40 for a month.
Yep.
So,
Well,
But I guess we can come back and let them figure this out.
Yeah.
With a better,
Exactly.
Check out some scenarios and bring
instead
stuff.
of us sitting here and trying to figure it out.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If I could see just the option, I think that would be helpful for us looking at like if we do it this way and we do it this way and just a little modeling just to help make a more informed decision in March was what I'd propose.
Yes.
So back to my original question, do we have 8 people here that said yes?
I believe it was unanimous.
Yeah. It is the question. I thought the problem in the beginning was that we needed 2/3 of the total 12.
I think we only have 6 right now.
We have 6, so that's where I was getting at, is that if that's the rule that we have 2/3 of the full 12, we only have 6, so we don't have 8.
Where are we
So-
getting? Where do we have 12 commissioners?
I don't know, that's what I was told.
Because if we have 12, 6 in the quorum.
How many
Yeah.
commissioners do we have? I remember we have 12.
Right, that's why I said, that's what it says. If we have 12.
Who is not present? Just Chris, right?
Billy here?
Billy.
Billy's
online.
Billy's online.
Okay.
Yes, David.
Tracy's no longer.
All I heard was we needed 8 votes. That's all I heard.
Yeah, so no, we have 6 of. So Tracy has resigned from the board, so she's no longer on. I believe the only missing individual at this point is Chris. Is that correct?
So you answer my question, we have 2/3.
We got 2/3. Yep.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on this, or can we move down to PTO, CTO, policy proposal update? Okay, let's do it.
Just to make sure everyone has access to it and Tyler's pulling it up. But we took the feedback from the board the first time we presented this, and then also some additional feedback from executive committee. So the format that you're looking at, we have some key terms that you can reference as we're walking through that. Just to save time though, I'm gonna skip that and go right into what we're looking to propose, and hopefully we can get this like in the right direction. So currently, for full-time employees, we're providing PTO days based on years of service, and that chart captures that per year and what the PTO days look like. We also provide 2 personal days and 11 holidays. So we have that broken down and what those total days look like. So for all current part-time employees, we provide 16 hours of personal time and we upload 40 hours of sick time. The reason why we do the upload there is because the Vermont earned sick time requirements. What we'd like to propose for employees is moving from PTO to CTO. CTO would replace PTO and will now cover vacation, personal, sick, plus the 5 formally observed holidays, which we'll cover in the next slide. We would still have those 6 major holidays that we referenced, and we call them the big 6. And then employees will be able to use their CTO in minimum of 1 hour increments, which is what we currently are doing as well. So for the proposed full-time CTO, you have your years of service, the CTO days, the big 6, which would be in a separate bank, and it provides the total amount. And then for proposed part-time, it would just be that upload of the 7 days. So we'd be front loading, which we hope would actually improve understanding of the time employees have and their morale. It would reduce some payroll tracking complications and aligns with Vermont allowance for combined time off policies. Any questions on that before we move into the holidays?
So CTO is just don't give it that once.
Yep. So for the holiday policy, current versus proposal, we would move from 11 and have the big 6. And we have already explained where those other 5 are going, so it's not being taken away from employees. The full-time employees would receive 8 hours of pay per holiday, and it shows the breakdown. And if you're scheduled to work a holiday, regular overtime pay, so they have that $5 premium currently. So if employees, if they choose not to use those days, they would be moved over into the CTO bank. So holidays not work, paid day off, any unused big six CTO hours after the holiday converts into regular CTO. So still have an opportunity to use it, they're not losing it. And we do have one requirement across the board, we'd like to keep, which is you must work the day before and after to receive holiday pay unless pre-approved.
So if I work up big six, I'm gonna get my regular time plus overtime $5. Okay, and then. Not, did I hear them get that thing over to this?
If you don't use it, then it's done when it's used in CTO bank.
So saying if I don't use it, not work. Need to pay it all. So why don't I just get, I'm sorry, I'm just lost numbers. If I'm not taking, this is the holiday network. Okay, paid day off. If I don't work, I'm getting paid anyway.
Right, it's going to, but it's explaining what it's going to work into, because it's in a different sheet.
Okay,
So then it's going to be the features.
okay. But then it will be subtracted.
Awesome.
Should we change the wording on the must work the day before and after, most say, must work the last scheduled day? Because two of the big holidays land on Monday, so that means Sunday.
Well,
But.
that's if they're scheduled. Like if you.
Well, what I'm saying, for us, it would be like, must work the last day rescheduled, so in other words, Friday
Yeah.
would be our day. So it just, I just can see people seeing that and going, but I don't want confidence.
Yeah, I know, it would, I take it a Sunday.
Yeah.
That's how our side of the board takes it a Sunday.
Yeah, we're the.
Because we run every day.
Right.
So
So 54.
if you call out on Sunday, you're not getting your holiday back.
Right.
Yeah,
I just put schedule.
yeah, that's good.
Next time we're gonna talk about is buybacks. We started this whole conversation, but I think we've come up with something, that the employees would both agree to. And of course, we're looking first at the best interest of the agency. So employees receive a buyback of up to 50% of their unused PTO. Starting January 2027, the annual buyback program will be removed. So full-time employees, but they'll be able to roll over 80 hours of unused CTO, and we thought that was a good compromise. Again, we identified the reason why, many of the employees were banking, in a sense, their PTO was because they were using this as a savings account, and that's not the purpose. The purpose was to provide work-life balance, and we identified that you're not always able to take those days off, but this will allow them to roll over some of those hours for those blackout days and put us in a better standing financially as well. And that kind of is what the next line is, but I'm just gonna be real straightforward, and that's the real reason behind that. And of course, we're gonna have a implementation of what that would look like. So in July, you can get the timeline below, kind of breaks that out, 50% of the buyback for this year, we'll still honor that. Then going into 2027, they'll roll over 80 hours of CTO. And then in July 2027, you'll have 50% of that annual CTO preloaded, because Ron was really, really helped me understand that piece of his. We have, about, goodness, I think it was probably 27 employees who are already at tenure. They're not gonna get any more time, and they're used to seeing that up front. So this will allow them to still see that, and it really just kind of affects about 21 employees, which are mostly admin. And then in January 2028, 100% of the annual CTO will be preloaded, including that rollover. Any questions?
So I have 120 hours. I can take 40 hours off and roll the 80 into January 20th.
Yes.
And then, when is the new, is it, we're going January,
So, yes,
so January 28, January 20, so,
yes.
okay. And if I end up with 120 hours again, 2028, 129, I'm gonna lose the 40 hours, so I agree with it.
Okay.
I agree with it, okay. It's not that I can roll over to
Right, it's not cumulative.
not cumulative, so I just wanna make sure that that word is put in there, if it's not. Okay, so don't get people saying, I thought I could roll 80 hours from each year to a bank. That's what the close business. So it's just part of the. So is that it?
Last question.
Can you explain the buyback 50% of the unused?
So if they have 100 hours of PCO, they'll get 50% of that.
So,
If they took it all,
right, so if you, okay, so if you have 200 hours, you pay back 100.
Yes.
Or if you've taken those vacation time down to 60 hours, are you paying back 30 hours or?
It's
Oh, that's
50%.
not how you,
Yeah.
no, that's not how it goes.
I'm sorry.
No,
No, the language in the manual states that it's 50% of the entire,
Right, that's what,
so my understanding of this here, if I have 200 hours. Okay, I can roll 80 hours over into January 27. And I will get paid 50% of the 120 hours.
the rollover and the buybacks won't happen at the same time. This July will be our last rollover, or our last buyback.
So the old plan, if I have 120 hours, you're paying me out 60 hours.
If you have it,
Why are you gonna roll 80 over? Because if you bought me out, you bought me out.
right.
right.
yeah, but the rollover.
The rollover doesn't start till
Yeah.
20 to July. And it's up to 80.
Yeah, 2 different time frames.
Okay, good enough.
So it's buyback of 50% of what you're previously, or what you, yeah, you don't. I mean, if you, so if you have 100 altogether and you use 40, then you would get only that 30. Yeah, okay.
I got confused there for a minute too.
Yeah.
I think I know what you were thinking.
Yes.
Saying these things, like, if I use half of it, why would I get half of it back again?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. If you use below what you have of it,
Yeah.
then that's where this comes into play.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve. Vote. Motion to approve the CCO.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion. It's been seconded. Discussion or debate?
To approve.
All those in favor?
So probably word.
I
Any opposed?
We had a question before, we all said aye.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. What's going on?
It wasn't me. Go ahead, Ron.
Sorry, I'm not on the board, but I was just, you made a motion to approve it, but that wording has to be changed, that's all.
Oh, yes, yep.
Oh,
With
okay,
the,
perfect.
with the corrections as presented, yep.
Sorry.
All those in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
And then
All right.
one question, historically, I'm used to having, whenever there's an update, an amendment to the, handbook as well. So does that need board approval?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Sure, so we're gonna make some changes to this. We're gonna need to make changes then to the handbook.
Who approves the handbook?
We do approve the handbook but if this is a plug and play
Yes, amendment,
amendment, then we are approving this aspect of the handbook. We don't need to reapprove like a total version.
To make it clear, I'll make a motion to move the CTO implementation also into the handbook. I can get a second. A second.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there discussion or debate? All those in favor? Aye.
I
Any opposed? Okay. There we go. Thank you for covering that base. I think that's important to clarify. Okay. We are through our listed agenda items. Is there other business?
I just want to say that I'm meeting up with Ron, I believe, Friday. The 13th.
Friday 13th.
I think it was. Yeah, Friday the 13th, to go over, I guess, the first draft of then bringing it to the town of Killington and the businesses of Killington for bus schedules outside of the normal times. So the nighttime buses for summer and winter. I think we already have the winter locked down now.
This winter.
This
Now we're
year. So we're gonna get summer and a winter, we're gonna sit down. For it. I just want to let other board members know that I've been invited in too, so I am not speaking on behalf of the board to come up with a number and maybe go back with.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't catch all of that. I don't know what's going on with the volume or the microphone today. Maybe it's just me.
Meeting up on February 13th with Ron for Killington, the bus, I guess the Rutland Killington bus, going into the Killington area for the nighttime service, summer and winter, to go over to see how we could get a proper bus schedule going and what the cost will be, because that is a separate cost than the normal town's allotments that they give each year.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying.
And that I will not be making the decision, it will come back here to the board.
Understood. Thank you for doing all that work. Any other business?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, working with BGS, we did finally land on an agreement. It's 50% executed for the lease. The cost did go down by about $4,800 for the year, so it's a little bit of good news. But yeah, we got a 3-year lease, 50% signed, right by the end of this week. We're also moving into the last phases of demo. So we'll be doing the, getting RFP out for some quotes for the grading and leveling. We have a meeting with Jay LeBaire to go over the details for the plan, so we can give that to the vendors, prospective vendors. Have a first draft of the donation letters. Final draft should be finished this week. And then also on the last leg of finalizing our marketing packet as well, which would be going out with those donation letters. I'll share a marketing packet before it's ready.
I'm just gonna throw in that, with today's coming back with the CTO and the financing. Yeah, it may seem a little hard the last couple of months or whatever, but you know, talking, going back and forth and everybody working together really went smooth today with the feedback that everybody came with. So thank you for at least listening to the board members and putting it in. I know sometimes I and maybe others, especially me, could be a little off with my questions. But thank you for listening and getting it to this point. And then my last other businesses is, I just have a question. The electric buses that we were supposed to get, was that the same ones that the batteries in Green Mountain Transit? They stuck because they can't put them inside.
No,
They're not the same, but.
I don't know if anyone knew that, but I read in the paper that Green Mountain, whatever, I think it's 5 electric buses. And the batteries are blowing up, so they're not allowed to put them in the garage. And they only charge when it's 40-something degrees. And so they have 5 electric buses sitting outside that they are short buses.
this company's out of business too.
Okay.
Yeah, they did reach out to us and another provider to see if we could help offer some buses. We made our offer, but then they decided they just didn't fit what for what they were looking for, so yeah, 5 buses out of commission.
So does anybody have any other business? If not, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn at 11 time.
All right. We are going to adjourn at 11:10. No motion needed. Let's make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Great to see you.
Great day.
Yeah. Be on Friday the 13th, Ron.
Okay.
I'll bring my black net down with me.